Setanta Sports, the only place to watch every game of UEFA Euro 2012.
Ahead of a Copa Libertadores quarter-final. This the Jose Amalfitani Stadium. Around 15 kilometres due west from the home of Boca Juniors. This Vélez Sarsfield against Santos. Two sides who really have produced some tremendous football so far this campaign, particularly the away side. Santos netting 21 goals in their 8 games to date. And the fireworks continue. We'll see how much fair play we see tonight with one of the most gifted players in the world game right now lining up on the away side. As for a Velez point of view, Juan Manuel Martinez, the 2010 domestic Argentine Footballer of the Year, sharing that honour with the international recipient, Lionel Messi. Velez have the opportunity of maybe tripping up Santos. They reached the semi-finals last season of both the Libertadores and the Sudamericana. So Velez are here. Their opponents await. So irresistible last week in overturning a 2-1 first leg loss in Bolivia against Bolivar by netting 8 times last week at the Villa Belmiro, which was their best performance ever in a Copa Libertadores game. Matched the 9-1 victory over Cerro Porteño many moons ago and was just 1 goal away from the all-time Libertadores scoring record, thanks in the main to this man. Well, he's netted 7 times so far this season in the Libertadores. Pablo Enrique Ganzo's set up a lot of those and scored 3 of his own. And long term, I guess the big question for these fans is how long do they get to appreciate this man in white? But while he's here, let's enjoy him. Well, he's got the world at his feet, and I would imagine so much on his shoulders too. Will be a first ever meeting between these two sides. Velez lost to Peñarol in the semi-final of the Libertadores last season, but for that, their first ever meeting in the competition would have come in the final. Peñarol team who we keep repeating have at this stage broken up. But Santos have managed to keep their Libertadores winning team together. And how much plotting, successful plotting, has Ricardo Gareca, the Velez coach, been able to do ahead of this game. Well, it is the quarter-final stage, and these are 2 big names from Brazil and Argentina. But it was at the quarter-final stage of the Copa America last year that both Brazil and Argentina were tripped up. The final eventually between Uruguay and Paraguay, and it is a Paraguayan team of officials tonight. Carlos Amaria is leading them as referee. Big night for Fabian Cubero and company, and it is surely Cubero's task to pick up Neymar this evening. Carlos Amaria is the match referee. His assistants are Rodney Aquino and Dario Giona, and the 4th official, Julio Quintana. for Velez this evening. Blue ticker tape for Velez. Musi Ramalho, who guided Santos back to the promised land last season in his first year in charge at the club, having guided Fluminense to the league title in 2010, but things then generally just fell apart between the two parties. All ready for the first ever Copa Libertadores meeting between Vélez Sarsfield and Santos. It's a different shade of blue for Velez this evening, as they look to score their most notable result of the campaign. They have problems with large strings of streamers over on the far side, and that's what's for once delaying the kickoff, as opposed to South American television taking elongated ad breaks. Marcelo Barovero is the man with perhaps the most unenviable task in football this evening, in trying to stop everything being hit at him. Rafael has let in 7 goals in 8 games in the Libertadores this season. Santos lost just 1 game in the group, and it was the first one in Bolivia against the strongest. And on their return to that country 3 weeks ago, they would lose by 2-1 to Bolivar. Well, if you're joining us on the main sports channel in Ireland, weren't able to join us across networks for Boca Fluminense earlier. Boca beat Flu by 1-0. Paulo Muxa in 51 minutes. Intriguing game. Flu down to 10 for most of the tie. Carlinhos sent off late in the first half. Boca could have scored 5 or 6, but didn't. And every game it must feel like this man wants to score 5 or 6. Been well among the goals so far this season and in recent weeks, as Santos lifted their 20th Paulista title, their 3rd in a row in the state championship. Steady stream of success yet again. The league really took a back seat for them in 2011 as they lifted the Libertadores final, being played 3 months into the league campaign, and then they started concentrating firmly on the Club World Cup campaign, where Ganso and Neymar were inspirational and were being chatted up by Barcelona in the final. You'd enjoy it in Catalonia, no doubt they were being told. Barcelona romping to a 4-0 triumph, which won't be coming their way this Christmas. Now all they need is a very, very big canister of shaken back, and they'll be sorted. So far this week, 0-0 draw in the rain between Vasco and Corinthians, the return leg next week. Very entertaining 1-1 draw between Libertad and Unión de Chile last night. And that 1-0 victory for Boca against Fluminense. Both sides somewhat depleted. Fluminense had 5 first-teamers out injured, including the former Chelsea, Barcelona and Porto playmaker Deco. Pretty sure they would take 0-1 after the circumstances tonight. They lost the left-back Carlinhos after 33 minutes. It was a second yellow card, a needless handball on halfway, and Sorm dismissed. I trust that's enough ticker tape. That's been dispatched by now. Well, Ricardo Gareca, no doubt, will be asking Fabian Cubero to keep Santos' number 11 quiet. Velez, in the last 4 games, have only netted a total of 2 goals. In Neymar's last 4 games, he's scored 9. Hot stuff. Velez in a different shade of blue this evening, Santos in their usual white. Nominally 4-4-2 for Velez this evening. Barovero in goal, a back four of Peruzzi, Cubero, Domínguez, and this man, Emiliano Papa. Across midfield, it's Cabral, Cerro, Fernández, and Zapata. Up front, Maro Óbolo and Juan Manuel Martinez. Aruca couldn't bring it on. Here come Santos immediately. It was a test there from a man who really knows how to strike the long-range Alano, but no real test from Marcelo Barovero this time. On by Cubero. Pressure being put on by Gino Peruzzi, the Argentine under-20 international. Good young talent within this Velez squad. They dispatched Atlético Nacional 2-1 in aggregate across the 2 legs of the last 16. Atlético Nacional's display in the second leg here at the Jose Amalfitani was quite disappointing. Having been the leading scorers in the group stages, Colombians just didn't look to have the wherewithal to get through. But Velez certainly did. Quite difficult to see where the touchline is, in truth. (4-4-2) for Santos, with Rafael in goal. A back four of Adriano, Dracena, Durval and Juan. Across midfield, Enrique, Aruca, Alano and Ganso. Up front, Alan Kardec and Neymar, though in truth Neymar will pop up just about everywhere. Ganso too. Controlled by Alejandro Ariel Cabral, twice capped Argentine international, who's replaced Ricky Alvarez in the squad. Velez have won this title just the once, back in 1994. They beat Sao Paulo on penalties, their best run since then, reaching last season's semi-finals. Just off this, but the Copa Sudamericana also, which was played in the second half of the year, saw off Milan in the Intercontinental Cup final in '94 by 2-0. It was a decent Milan side at the time too. They beat Barcelona 4-0 in the Champions League final. It will be an early corner for Santos. Improvisation for Cubero this evening as he finds himself at centre-back. A bit more further forward than that. Alano, who finally netted in the competition last week, his first goals of the campaign, got 2 against Bolivar, as did Ganso and Neymar. And right underneath the Santos travelling fans, Solano will have to wait, as there's a bit of giving out from Carlos Amaria. He is prone to do that. In by Alano. Good claim by Marcelo Barovero. And it was won the Ubaldo Pujol Award, 2 years running. Agustin Orion winning it for the second half of 2011, Barovero for the first half of the year. And on the bench, the man who won it in 2009, German Montoya. And it's almost been a permanent situation for him with Barovero in goal. So many excellent goalkeepers around South America at the moment. Argentina in general. Three league titles in a row, won by Murcia Ramalho in his Sao Paulo days, before he went to Palmeiras for a somewhat unsuccessful spell, won the league title at Fluminense, then won the South American crown with Santos. Always given his young talents, Neymar and Ganso, a shoulder on which to lean on. Good work, corner kick earned. Gino Peruzzi, 19-year-old who didn't feature in the squads last season for the South American competitions, but still played in the panel which won the Clausura this time last year. Neymar, well, he'll be under big pressure all night from Fabian Cubero, the Velez captain. There's no doubting that. Neymar will take a lot of punishment, but how will he take it? Worth pointing out that the man he'll be running up against tonight, Fabian Cubero, in the 8 games he's played in the Libertadores for Velez this season, has received 5 yellow cards. There's no punishment for that, by the way. Only if you happen to get 2 in a game, or if you're sent off. There's no automatic suspension that kicks in if you get booked in every game. And I think Neymar's going to have to get used to this tonight. Gino Peruzzi is on marking duties on Neymar tonight, but Cubero will definitely be picking up a lot of the time as well. Across towards Emiliano Papa on this near side. He was given his international break in Diego Maradona's first game in charge of Argentina against Scotland 4 years ago now, but Papa hasn't been able to keep a foothold in the Argentine national squad, pretty much the same way he wasn't able to here. Somewhat reckless. There were a number of turns that would follow from Papa. We'll see how tested Rafael will be here. Velez, like Santos, conceding 7 goals in their 8 games so far. The 3 quarter-final first legs have been quite low scoring today. Zapata tempted with the shot, but it was well fielded by the ball boy behind the goal instead of testing Rafael in the Santos goal. Zapata with an awful lot of space. Ricardo Gareca won a continental title in charge of Tijeras in '99, the old Copa Conmebol. The club he has managed more than any other. 6 league titles, 3 as a player, 3 as a manager. 2 of those with Velez. Winners of this tie would nominally face Corinthians or Vasco. If the winners are Velez, then it would very much depend on what happens in the other half, because if 2 Brazilian sides come through to the semis, or indeed 2 Argentine sides, then they would have to meet in the last 4. It would make things quite easy if it were 2 Brazilian and 2 Argentine sides that were to get through. Very simple cutout though, that by Victor Zapata. Waiting for it in the middle is Óbolo, but he went for the shot instead. Rafael found it very easy to tame. Martinez lurking in the middle, but unable to add to his 1 goal so far this campaign. Never really got behind that properly. A bit more power required. Martinez got the touch on, and he's done really well to win a throw. Dorval stretched out a leg and put it out. And it's a blue ball. Obviously one of the semi-finalists have to come from either Paraguay or Chile, because Libertad and Chile are facing off in the second leg at Santiago next week. So it will be either 2 Brazilian or 2 Argentine sides who will be in the last 4, and if that's the case, then the clubs from the same country will be grouped together. Time wasting's been called against Rafael, and the man in the yellow shirt is the first to receive the yellow card in the game. It is more a topic for next week in the second legs, but we could also have 3 Brazilian sides in the semis. And if that's the case, then strong live possibility for the first time in half a dozen years that we would have an all-Brazilian final with 2 of those in succession, which is why the rule about the semi-finals came in. So if Boca and Velez went there quarter-finals, they would be paired together in the semis. End of town up against the other. Venezuela is more than capable of staging 2 big continental quarter-finals on the same night. Velez putting good early pressure on Santos here. It is necessary. Neymar and Ganso being kept very, very quiet. Low drive again, beats Rafael. But there is to be no success for Alejandro Ariel Cabral. Won the Clausura with Velez in 2009. And whilst away this time last year, wouldn't be left empty-handed as they won the Polish Cup with Legia Warsaw. Played on for Juan Manuel Martinez. Cabral. Support from Mauro Óbolo has presented himself, the recent signing from Arsenal. This is really good work. Three waiting in the middle, and it's over everybody in a blue shirt. Foul's been called anyway. Well, Santos are having to soak up an awful lot of pressure. Edu Dracena, the Libertadores winning captain last season. Juan lost his feet. Excellent play by Augusto Fernández. Really good cross that was. And it's been Velez doing all the attacking so far. Santos won their third Libertadores title last year, and they just got better and better as the season wore on. Question you'd ask about last week in the 8-0. Did they peak too early, or is there a big second leg in them next week? Or indeed a big first leg? Evidence not quite there for the first 16 minutes. Touched on the near side by Papa. Cleared away long by Lanu, who came very, very deep. Cubero did well to mop up against Alan Kardec, who also was on the score sheet in the 8-0 victory over Bolivar last week. Bolivar, having been so wonderful up in the heights of La Paz, the highest international football stadium in the world. A special dispensation from FIFA to allow that status. But Bolivar, once they got down to ground level and visited Santos, were not of the same quality. And they were breathing the same air as everyone else and were completely outplayed. It was a masterful display from Santos. 8-0 was actually quite generous towards Bolivar. It could have been much greater. And if you ever do get a chance to see those 90 minutes, if you happened to miss it last week, Mercy Ramalho's men were absolutely awesome, and I would heartily recommend you do your best to try and get a look at that game. Now here goes Neymar, so wonderful last week, beat two, but couldn't get past the third. And again, plenty up for Velez, three waiting in the middle, but it's been slipped away by Enrique. Goals in the last 4 games overall for Santos, and Neymar has scored precisely half of those. Hat-trick against Sao Paulo in the Campeonato Paulista, the semi-final, and in the 3 games since then he's netted twice each time. CONMEBOL awarding him 2 goals last week, even though one of them definitely looked to have been touched through for an own goal. Neymar on 7 goals, 1 behind the leading scorer in the competition for Deportivo Quito, Matias Alustiza. Neymar slaloming through. Referee kept an eye on it, and Barovero kept an eye on the ball, while most had theirs on Neymar on the deck. First proper good chance of the game. Neymar bringing it through. Down he went inside the area, but the ball stayed alive. And the flick was a tricky one. Kept alive by Juan, and Ganso's little flick was cheeky, but Barovero's save was quite comprehensive. Santos' first chance of the game. Well, it was 0-0 between Vasco and Corinthians, and by the way, if you have a chance to watch that game again, don't. 1-1 draw between Libertad and Unión de Chile, and a really absorbing tie earlier tonight across town between Boca and Fluminense. And if you are watching this game in its first showing in the UK, because it's not had the fortune of a live broadcast, then Boca against Fluminense is up next, if you happen to have slept all night. Here's Papa. Time was running out for Barovero, and with Neymar on his case, he had no other option but to put out. Well, we've only had 3 goals this week in the quarter-final first legs, where last week on the same night, Santos and La U, Unión de Chile, provided us with 14 goals in the space of 180 minutes. Without being too unkind to Bolivar and Dem Quito, realistically in advance, it always looked as if it was going to be that way, even though Santos and Unión de Chile were both behind going into their respective second legs. The first legs will be entertaining, but next week is really when it will all happen. All of the ties are well poised heading into next week's decisive action. That'll be a free kick for Santos, and quickly taken. Santos finding it very hard to get into the game so far. They've only really allowed Velez one proper attempt on goal, the Zapata long shot, which was saved by Rafael. Velez have lost 2 of the last 12 games, beaten 2-0 here a couple of weekends ago by Argentinos Juniors in the Argentine League, which is the Clausura this time of year. Santos have lost 2 of the last 14, including the defeat away to Bolivar. I do realise that we are picking up extra viewers at this stage of the Libertadores who might not regularly watch South American football. There are 2 league championships competed for each year in Argentina, and Ricardo Gareca's Velez won the league title this time last year, the Clausura. Boca Juniors went on to win the Apertura at the end of last year. And in Brazil, the big kickoff is next weekend. The Brazilian League Championship, Campeonato Serie A. The state championship, state presidents for the first 4 months of the year, and Santos won theirs, the Paulista, for the 3rd year in a row, beat Guarani 7-2 in aggregate in the final. That looked like handball by Alano, and that's because it was. The Brazilian Championship has only really been around for 40 years. In the days of Pelé, the main title was the Taça Brazil, which they won 5 years in a row. That's a massive ricochet, and Barovero had to be alert. Came off Augusto Fernández, who's Been well among the goals the last few weeks. Netted against Chivas away. Atletico Nacional in the away victory 2 weeks ago. Neymar. Well, he's been kept very quiet, but he's managed to push the ball back towards Aruca. This is Alano. Just rolls past Ganso. Santos do look off their game. Not really a huge flight from General Santos. Sao Paulo conurbation across to Buenos Aires. Barely 2 hours. By Enrique, found by Alano, who's been part of the trend of big-name Brazilian players returning to their native land, including Liedson and Deco, who've become naturalised Portuguese and who've played quite regularly for their adopted country. That was Adriano, who kicked out. Juan, actually. And he receives Santos' second yellow. Came right through on Juan Manuel Martinez. Well, since joining from Atletico Paranaense, Juan has won a title every season he's been at Santos. That includes this year, having just completed their 3 in a row in the Paulista. The ball rolling by winning the Cup and the Paulista in 2010. Last year was spectacular by anybody's standards. And Papa, for his complaints, has gone into the book first in the game to suffer that fate for Vélez Sarsfield. Martinez definitely looked to be upended. Then there was a slide tackle came in from Papa, which Paraguayan referee didn't like. And he is a man with a short fuse, Carlos Almeria. And Papa was probably going to get away with just a free kick against him. But then he spoke out of turn, and Papa did preach and was booked for it. Aruca. Papa. Well, there is Brazilian Cup action tonight. Grêmio are leading 2-1 away at Bahia, and they have just gone 2-1 up. Will be a free kick and maybe a little bit more. Cabral upended. Now Santos are beginning to show a bit of bite in their game. Although, to be honest, it did look like a lot of the ball was taken by Adriano. Bit of leg too. Controlled by Martinez, and Rafael was behind it.
Well,
He's only played once for Argentina, Juan Manuel Martinez, but made a big impact. He was fouled for a penalty, which Leo Messi converted to win the game. And against Portugal. Martinez had a good pop, but it was a good stop by Rafael. Cerro did very well, but couldn't follow it up. Francisco Cerro, the 23-year-old who's set to trigger a permanent deal from Quilmes. He's been on loan for about a year. Big opening, Óbolo. Rafael tested heavily. Santos just about survived. But Velez are getting closer and closer to make the tie even more intriguing. Put across by Zapata. Blasted effort came in, and there's been a bit of afters there too. Looked to involve Dracena. Juan Manuel Martinez was decked, but got up very quickly. Neymar is not getting any of the ball at all, and Gino Peruzzi's having a wonderful game. The young 19-year-old. Well, they have put a kid on the kid, and Neymar so far has barely had a look in. And I'm sure there will be a lot of clubs around South America and Brazil who will be taking great note on precisely how Gino Peruzzi is going about this. Everywhere Neymar goes, Peruzzi follows. Neymar's been given a huge amount of freedom because he, in a slightly slower way than Cristiano Ronaldo tends to do, tends to go on all sectors of the pitch. Neymar, he's been allowed turn, but I think he was also allowed handle it. It'll be a free kick. He put his left arm up, but that was enough to control. Well, it fell very, very invitingly for Fernández, and Rafael did well to palm away. We'll have all 4 second legs live at the quarterfinals if you're watching in Ireland, Africa and Australia. Those of you in Britain will have to check your listings, but all 4 games will be shown in full. The amount of games live depends on what ice hockey is on, but I can tell you, you'll be able to watch Hungary against Ireland live on the 4th of June, the final game for Giovanni Trapattoni's Ireland before they embark on the first European Championship campaign since Euro 88. Gathered by Martinez, who's done very well indeed. Still going. Martinez doing well, but Aruca got the head away. And that was flying all the time from the really testing boot of Francisco Cerro. Good setup by Martinez. Knew that he wouldn't get around Aruca, and the final effort by Cerro just flew past. Well, Cerro has played every game of the 8 so far for Velez. Cubero and Domínguez and Martinez are the only other ones who can claim that. Santos have ever presence in the form of Rafael, Dracena, Aruca, Dorval, Borges, Ganzo, Juan, Ibsen, and of course Neymar. They've all played a part in every game, if not necessarily playing all 90 minutes. That was just about kept in. Óbolo's on the chase after this. Santos have been very much caught out, especially through Juan and Dracena down the left-hand side. Now here's Papa. Down the Velez left. Good cross. Good header. Wonderful goal. Óbolo. Santos so stretched and something had to give. And Óbolo has his third goal of the campaign. And Velez have the goal that they so deserve. Such an awkward looping header which Rafael found difficult to deal with. Played back for Francesco Cerro. Fine ball across towards Emiliano Papa. And the final header by Óbolo was so awkward. Rafael was a sitting duck. Óbolo, who netted in 3-0 wins over Defensor Sporting and Chivas, has really opened up the game, and it's Velez who lead. Well, Santos very much shackled all game, now have to try and open up a little. But how much will Velez allow that? Ganso let it run. Maybe not necessarily intentionally. Alana's played that across. And the final header, quite disappointing. No help to Alan Kardec up front. It was a game that definitely needed a goal, and now it has it. And Óbolo's waiting in the middle, trying to look to cause another. Martinez going through, and he's gone down, but he's told to get up. It was a big stretch, and he ended up in the glittery ticker tape. Neymar wins back, and he is put right on the seat of his pants. Velez are giving him no respect. It was an interesting challenge from the side, but Martinez probably gave way a bit too easily. Baruka for Ganso. Barovero was dominant, and Alan Kardec just couldn't quite get down the right channel. Well, the challenge from the side on Martinez was most interesting, finding a way past Dorval, who didn't stay in his feet. And for me, there was a really good claim for a penalty there. Martinez was definitely interfered with. I think you can say the same for Neymar there. Controlled by Cabral. Luca gathering, did well. Been around quite a while. He was in the Fluminense side that were runners-up in 2008 to Liga de Quito and the highest scoring final ever. By Peruzzi. Neymar, short touch for Ganso. And when Santos have finally had openings, they've not capitalised at all. Instead, it's Velez who looks so frisky, but Papa couldn't keep that one in play down this near side. And there was good appreciation from Ricardo Gareca, the Velez coach. They've made life as difficult as possible for the South American champions. Cerro helped it on. Augusto Fernández now. Drew at the weekend. The Bombonera against Boca, 0-0 draw, not very much happened. Haven't won any of the last 3 games. They drew their home second leg against Atlético Nacional last week, but it was more than enough. On by Papa, too far. 1-2 between he and Mauro. Óbolo left incomplete. The last win was in the away leg against Atlético Nacional by a 1-0 when Ivan Beja netted after a smattering of minutes. Lana will take, he's got 4 to aim for inside the area, including Neymar. That was a really super save by Barovero. Edu Dracena was up, but according to referee Carlos Amaria, somewhat illegally. And he was climbing all over Emiliano Papa, but it was such a marvellous save by Barovero anyway. Well, Papa wasn't picked up, and ultimately neither was Óbolo, and such an awkward header. Rafael could only fall over and watch it flop over him as Vélez Sarsfield take the lead in the first ever Libertadores meeting between these two. Excellent cross, helped by the deflection, definitely. If it wasn't for that, it wouldn't have found Óbolo in the first place. And a smile from Ricardo Gareca. We don't normally see those. But it is the South American champions that Velez are in front against, but did Barovero put too much into saving that header by Edu Dracena? Well, there is another Argentine goalkeeper of the year, German Montoya, on the bench, so it's not the most drastic of losses if Barovero isn't able to continue, despite being a quality keeper. 45 minutes are up. Martinez, attempt for Óbolo, but he wasn't able to get it home. Velez are doing a marvellous job so far. No joy for Sebastian Domínguez that time. And his reaction could get him in trouble if he's not careful. One-nil to Velez at half-time.
Setanta Sports, the only place to watch every game of UEFA Euro 2012.